if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to this video, leave a comment on what your thoughts were on the Senior Bowl. But let's shift over, though, now to a trade that we think should happen for the NFL draft. We last week we put out a video on why the Chicago Bears has to trade the number 1 pick. I got a lot of success, so we kind of want to do a follow-up on this one, talk about why the number 1 team that we think should trade with them, the Indianapolis Colts should, and what we think it'll take to get there. For me, the Colts, of all the QB needy teams, I think are actually the most ready. They can make a quick turnaround if they get the quarterback that fits their system the best. You have Jonathan Taylor, who is still a dominant runner. This offensive line was banged up last year, and I think if they can get healthy, maybe add a piece or two to solidify that offensive line, become that run-dominant team. And then on top of that, when you bring in this young quarterback, you still have Michael Pittman to throw to. You have Alec Pierce. You have a lot of other guys that they can either re-sign that fit well within the system. Mo Alley Cox, their tight end, Noah Gragson. And that's just the offensive side of the ball. That was the big issue last year is Matt Ryan just, I think Father Time had said, it is time for you to become an analyst, go enjoy retirement. And the offensive line kept getting hurt, and Jonathan Taylor also kept getting hurt. So it was a horrible combination, obviously, because they have a good defense. They have some guys that are hitting free agency that I think that they can re-sign, but they could still have a good defense. They just need the right quarterback for the system. And I think that they can get it with one of these guys that is here in the class.
Well, so the big thing for me about them trading up is if everybody stays where they are, they are going to get the guy that Houston doesn't want, which is most likely C.J. Stroud, in my opinion. I feel like Houston, they're going to go with Bryce Young if they get the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so if they feel like Bryce Young is their guy, right? Bryce Young is QB1 in this class. They need to strike a deal with Chicago, not just so that they can get their guy, but so then they don't have to play against who they think is the guy for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and to me, that is worth the 4 pick and the next 2 first-round picks, maybe plus some later round picks.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm Chicago, that's a deal I'm looking at heavily. Mm-hmm. But again, if Houston gets that number 1 pick or Chicago trades back with somebody else, which actually if Chicago trades back with somebody else, they're not going to get any quarterback at 4. So there's a very big push for Indianapolis to move up 3 spots to number 1.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I love that added layer in this debate of the fact that not only is if you don't trade up, then your division rival is going to get the potential quarterback that you love, and you're going to have to play against him. Let's say he is really good. Now you're going to have to just be reminded how you didn't make that trade for the next 10 to 15 years. And that to me, I think is a crucial piece down to it. And I will say, I'll disagree with you a little bit, because I think that they will still take a quarterback at 4. I just think it'll be Will Levis. It'll be Anthony Richardson. It won't be, I think, in my opinion, as NFL ready of a quarterback, especially Anthony Richardson. Super high ceiling, yes, but also it could be super low floor. Yeah. I do feel the more and more I think about it, more and more I look, I do think that there'll be 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 15 or 16 at the latest, potentially now even the top 10. Yeah. It all depends on where some other quarterbacks go, which we're going to talk about here a little bit later. But the Colts, to me, though, I think are the ones where if they make this trade, get their quarterback of the future, I think it will solve a lot of their problems. I am definitely of the belief that you build a team first, then get the young quarterback in, and they have the team. I think they have the team. We've seen it over the past couple of years. They should have made the playoffs last year. Well, not last. The Carson Wentz season. Yeah. Not the Phillip Rivers. They did make the Phillip Rivers season. The Carson Wentz season. Epic collapse, but Jonathan Taylor was the best running back. They had the best running game in the league. Defense was solid as well. Defense improved outside of the Vikings game and the Cowboys fourth quarter. And so I think the time is now, especially then with this division that they're in. Jacksonville doesn't need to play well next year to win the division. And
no, not at all.
And Tennessee doesn't need to play well to win the division either. So that's what it's like. They need to solidify themselves and find their guy, their consistent QB of the future. And I think it can be Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Maybe it's Will Levis also. Maybe it's Anthony Richardson. I haven't seen that yet. Need to see some more film on how they can utilize him in the quarterback.
To take them at 4.
I can agree with that as well. And actually, as we're saying this, have they even hired their new head coach yet?
I think it's right now. I think it's still Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, right now I think it is still
next year.
Still Jeff Saturday.
To me, the Colts' best course of action is to trade up to 1.
Yeah.
Even if it's this year's first round pick, the 2, like 2024 and 2025's first round pick. I know it's only 3 spots, but you get the guy you want, right?
Yeah.
And then Houston, for one, doesn't get it. And then it's like, all right, you have the team, you have this guy on a contract, maybe give up another 3rd or 4th in later years. And it's like, all right, and then you just build your team, make safe later round selections, pick just good quality players.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, all right, build a team through free agency. You have a quarterback on a rookie deal. Like, to me, that's the best plan of action.
Yeah. Well, and one thing too, and I'm curious as well on your thoughts is like, are we confident that it's 3 first-round picks? Like, that's what I think it should be 3 first-round picks for like Vegas. And I don't think the Bears would go far back as 9th. For the Panthers. Also, too, I don't think they want an NFC team to get this quarterback. I think an AFC team would be better to make a trade with. But like, are we confident that it's 3? Like,
if I'm the Colts, I'm willing to give 3 plus 2 later round picks, because not only are you moving up to get the number 1 overall pick, right? You're jumping in front of your division rival, who is also probably putting in this year's first and maybe next year's, or a couple seconds throughout the following years. Like, they're putting up picks also.
Yeah.
And so
that's a fair question. What do you think, just to move up 1 spot to switch, what do you think Houston has to do?
Right now, if I'm Houston, I'm giving 2 next year's second and next year's third. Or number 2.
Sorry. When you say 2, you mean 2 first-round picks?
No. The number 2 overall pick this year.
Okay.
Plus next year's second, maybe this year's third, and then they can negotiate from there. But that would, on the point scale, that is about even.
Oh, okay. Just to move up the 1.
Yeah, to go from 2 to 1, especially. There's a lot less risk in going from 1 to 2 when you know Houston's going to draft a quarterback than going from 1 to 4, not knowing what Houston and Arizona are going to do.
See, and so that's the thing. So that's my thing with that pick and why that won't happen. Houston's going to have to give up a lot more because now it's in a bidding war. You got 3 to 4 teams now. It's just 3 to 4 teams that we're talking about too. I mean, I will say it's like Atlanta, as much as I hope that they don't do this, is also would, if they feel that Desmond Ridder's not the guy, could maybe insert themselves. If the Lions, they really love a guy and they want to grow a guy for the future, like only moving up 5 spots, and they got an extra first-round pick as well later on. So maybe if they want to be aggressive, I don't agree with that either. But there's a lot of other teams in the top 10, and so why I say it with the Texans and why I think with the Colts, just to move back 3. Or just to move up, just to move up 3. Like, the Texans are going to have to give up a first-round pick. The Bears, I mean, if the Colts are saying
an extra first-round pick,
yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure that was clear. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Texans are going to have to give up at minimum their 2024 first round pick because of the asking power and the buying power now, or the selling power that the Bears have. It's because, like, all right, well, why would we just trade with you just an extra third or like an extra second when the Colts are saying, hey, we'll give you a first for next year, our second this year, and maybe even a third for next year as well. That's a lot more picks and a lot better picks as well. So this bidding war is going to be fascinating to watch. And the Colts, I think it's most crucial for the Colts to go and get their guy, because I think that they could win the division this next year if they go and find the guy that they think fits their system the best.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And that's why I think this debate is worth having, because Houston has a good group of young players. Jacksonville has a good group of young players and a star quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they won the division this year. Tennessee is grabbing at whatever nostalgia that old team has left. In Indianapolis is just kind of in no man's land where like they've tried this QB thing with the old guys for 3 years now. It hasn't worked. Jim Irsay has voiced his displeasure with it, and now I think is the time to strike for them. Especially for me, the kicker is just, if you don't do this, Houston is going to get the guy that they want.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Well, and I think that, and especially that last part, and this just to kind of solidify why I think this is going to be the team that does it, is the owner is now saying it's like we're done with this. Like we're drafting our guy for the future. So I think that they're going to obviously, and they're going to do their due diligence on all the quarterbacks, all the players, but quarterbacks in particular. And then I think they're going to go make the Bears an offer that they can't refuse to trade with them. And I think it's going to be sooner than we think. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's
early bird gets the worm.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they're doing this film and they like what they see. When's the combine again?
March 5th, I think. Like, it's a range of days, but I want to say it's around like March 5th.
It's that week. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe even do it before the combine, solidify themselves as the number one team. Like we're deciding who gets taken first. Not allowing anybody to get super excited about not allowing the Texans to get super excited about a guy, but we're willing to give up a couple extra more picks.
Yeah, it looks like it's March 3rd through 6th.
March 3rd through the 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my thing is maybe they wait, because the combine might be the first time that these two teams get to speak with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, right? So that might be the first time that those guys get to actually have a conversation. It'll be interesting to see if they do that. If they do wait to meet with them, what comes out of that. Because they'll probably have similar impressions as a team. And I think at that point, asking price goes up.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a fair point too. Yeah. So I guess you're kind of betting as well.
Yeah. And so maybe it's, all right, well, we really like these two guys on tape. We'll trade up, interview them both at the combine, and we'll take whichever one we like better. Right. Like maybe it's that type of situation. Mm-hmm. But then you do run the risk of well, okay, maybe we don't like either of them. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm curious about that too. Now with CJ Stroud, we haven't seen CJ Stroud in the limelight as much. They talked about him a bunch, but I guess with Bryce Young, he's been having interviews and he has been in the public eye for a really long time. And maybe it's me living in the South that as I've seen him more. But shoot, I mean, we have family up in Ohio. Like we watch the Ohio State games. We've heard about CJ Stroud, as well. So everyone's heard about it. But something about maybe Bryce Young, I feel like they already know some of the answers to. I think and the character that's around him. Not saying CJ Stroud doesn't, but maybe it's almost like there's still some more questions about CJ Stroud. where like maybe those interviews would help out if they feel like he's the guy, but there's some more questions. But like if they feel just watching the film that Bryce Young is the guy, I wonder if they like let's just do it now. We'll interview him, and then we can always change our mind on if we want to take CJ Stroud later. But having that first round pick and being able to decide, it was more important.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then also too, you're not waiting for somebody to fall to you at 4.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too, it is very possible as well that the Cardinals trade back also. So they might even just get the third guy, or it's possible that the Bears trade back again after they trade with the Texans. So then the Raiders go up and get Stroud or Young or whichever quarterback wasn't taken, Levis.
Yeah.
That's possible. It's feasible that the only guy left by the 4th pick is Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a mistake that anybody besides CJ Stroud or Bryce Young goes in the top 10. And I am leaning towards top half of the first round. I think if you look at prospects like Dwayne Haskin, I know it's a sad situation what happened to him this offseason, but he was a top quarterback prospect coming out, and he fell to 16.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was a better quarterback prospect than Will Levis and Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at past drafts, Justin Fields fell to 11. Right. Mm-hmm. That was in a quarterback class of 5 though, so that's a little different. Of 5 major QBs. And so like
5, I will say 5 major with a clear number 1. Right now we're still trying to figure out the number 1. So that's where there's still a lot of nuance. There was never a doubt Trevor Lawrence was not the right one. So that's where Trey Lance was able to come into the conversation. Zach Wilson came up into the conversation. Yeah. Mac Jones also as well.
Yeah. And so that for me, I think makes this really interesting because NFL evaluators they're not going to risk a top 10 pick on a guy like Will Levis, in my opinion, but then also to trade up and then draft multiple first round picks on a guy like Will Levis. To me, I think that is scary for a lot of general managers. That's how you lose your job. So I think the best case scenario for the Indianapolis Colts, they offer Chicago a deal that they can't refuse. They get that number 1 pick, go to the combine, figure out which one they like best, and make that selection. Like you said, I think if they make this pick, they're a AFC South contender for next year.